Talking about my plurilingual journey, I would like to start with a brief history of Taiwan. The Republic of China was founded in 1912 in China. At that time, Taiwan was under Japanese colonial rule. During the colonial period, for 50 years, learning Chinese was forbidden either in school or at home. Although my mom was born in the year when Taiwan was liberated from Japan, the impact of the Japanese language had on the society remained. Growing up, it was common to hear local Taiwanese mix Japanese words in their conversations. I picked up Japanese vocabularies just like that, and I still remember a lot of Japanese words because Japanese adopted Chinese characters and English in its language. Mandarin era. The ROC government began exercising jurisdiction over Taiwan in 1945 after Japan surrendered at the end of World War II. Chiang Kai-shek retreated to Taiwan in 1949 while fighting a civil war with the Chinese Communist Party. He soon formed a new government and introduced Mandarin to be the official language and made it compulsory in schools. To escape communism, father left his hometown, Canton, China, and migrated to Taiwan at age 7 as an orphan. He grew up speaking Mandarin and has long forgotten his mother tongue. There were interesting clashes in terms of languages in the society when I was little. Young male soldiers from mainland China could not speak Taiwanese. Most Taiwanese young girls did not have the opportunity to go to school to learn Mandarin. Hence, a lot of intercultural marriage couples had to learn Taiwanese or Mandarin from each other or family members. Some children in the family had to act as interpreters like me. My father did not speak Taiwanese, and my grandmother and neighbors did not speak Mandarin, so I often had to explain what was said to my father. I remember vividly that I used to feel proud because one of my neighbors who did not speak Mandarin would always praise me because I could switch from Taiwanese to Mandarin with ease. I was also exposed to a dialect called Hakka because mom's family is from the second largest ethnic group, Hakka people, on the island. I often sat with mom and listened to her conversations with her family and friends in Hakka. Mom was surprised that I understood the dialect, but it never occurred to either of us to strike a conversation in it. Slowly, Mom's other siblings all moved away from us. I seldom heard Mom converse in Hakka again, and I wonder how much I could still comprehend. My language acquisition in English took me on a wild ride for life. It started from middle school as a mandatory course. I was absolutely in awe seeing the world that I had never experienced before. Everything was so different about English. The sound, the shape of the alphabets, the way to express a feeling or thought. And the most intriguing part was the people with blonde hair and blue eyes who speak it. I would memorize everything from a lesson. Vocabularies, sentences, grammar rules, and even short stories from the textbook. However, all the learning was just for paper and pen tests. Little to none was practiced in real-life situations. As I progressed high school, Father brought a radio from Singapore. I then started listening to English programs on the radio to improve my pronunciation and listening comprehension. I later realized that listening to the radio did not really help me score better in TOEFL in terms of reading comprehension and essay writing, because it was a one-way channel learning without interactions or direct feedback. During my university years, I took Japanese because it was mandatory for library science major students to take a foreign language course other than English. It meant to prepare librarians to be able to catalog books in other languages. As I mentioned earlier, Japanese adopted a lot of Chinese characters in English, plus having been exposed to Japanese when I was young. My experience in learning Japanese was rather pleasant. Although I have never used Japanese after I graduated from the university, I found myself not intimidated by the language when I visited Japan 2 years ago. Learning English continued throughout my schooling and even after marriage. I have an intercultural marriage and my family finally settled in Toronto. I communicate with my husband in English. Even after 25 years of marriage, my husband still laughs at me that how often I use she to talk about my father and how I should improve my oral communication. In the early years of our marriage, I dreaded to attend social gatherings hosted by my husband's friends who were predominantly South Asians. People from Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh somehow understand the major dialects spoken in these countries like Urdu, Punjabi, Hindu, and Pashto, and I was often neglected not knowing what was going on in their conversations. To avoid my own awkwardness, I eventually avoided going to parties until we moved to Toronto, where you changed my misconceptions that, oh, South Asians are actually quite educated who speak English fluently. Probably due to the wide range of dialects spoken among South Asians, I then did not bother to learn any of them. It has been 25 years since I got married. Urdu, Punjabi, Hindu, and Pashto still all sound the same to me. My new adventure to language is learning Arabic. I converted to Islam upon marriage, but I never took the religion seriously until 2 years ago. It was a self-realization that I should learn Arabic so I can read and understand Quran properly. Arabic is totally different from English and Mandarin. Each Arabic letter has 5 intonations. Some letters' shape change when they are connected with others. It requires a lot of eye-brain coordination to quickly identify each letter and its intonation symbol and then combine the letter sound to pronounce a word. I'm still learning the rule as how to pronounce a word. It takes a lot of patience to keep myself going, but I'm getting there. I realized how well a teacher can connect with students through language in my first practicum. My placement school has a high percentage of immigrant population. Students mainly come from China, Japan, Korea, Pakistan, India, and Iran. I just threw the words that I know here and there, and then I could feel that I had built a bridge between the students and me. Children would come and talk to me in Mandarin, ask me if I knew anything in Japanese, or were curious to know if I speak Arabic. Then we had a lot of giggles together. By going through my own plurilingual journey, I see that English has the greatest impact on my life. It has changed my entire life trajectory, which moved me from one continent to another and from country to country. I now speak and think in English. However, I have not forgotten my mother tongue. Thankful to the technology, with all kinds of apps available on the internet, I now can be in touch with my mother tongue anytime online, where I read, write, and talk in Mandarin. Being plurilingual makes me more adaptable and pleasant to people and things around me, especially living in a diverse city like Toronto. Plurilingual is a beautiful thing.